Something ako na good afternoon. Thank you for watching and answer. Hello po, we are Reza from High School. And also from thank you so much sir, for watching and seeing around. We will answer your questions after the close of our system. So expect that our resource speaker will be making some clarifications and some answers to the frequently asked questions of our teachers in the field.
Test 1, 2, 3.
And so we are back now.
Our assessment and grade
Okay, thank you so much. So, for some technical problems that we encountered at the division office. So, but nevertheless, regardless of what happened, the show must go on. Tama po ba? Very good. Okay, so let's continue for our MAPE. Before in getting the quarterly grade of MAPE as a whole, so we will get the quarterly grade of the 4 components, then divided by 4, and that will be the quarterly grade of MAPE. And in getting the final grade by learning area, we will get the quarterly grade from first quarter to the fourth quarter divided by 4. That is their final grade. And the general average of all final grades of all learning areas divided by the total number of learning areas in grade level. But I would like to remind you that for elementary with allied classes do not include total number of learning areas in the allied class. It will be excluded in the general average. So likewise also for our quarterly grade, that is the horizontal, that is the 4 quarter. Klaro po yan kasi we usually do it. So, for Deped Order number 13 series of 2020, this is under new normal. It was stipulated that there will be no quarterly exam. I would like to clarify this. We will not give quarterly exam to our learners. Klaro po yan. Kung namimigay po kayo ng quarterly exam, then that is our Deped Order number 31, because in this particular order, it is clearly stated that there will be no quarterly exam. And that percentage or the weighted percentage of our quarterly exam, that is 20%, will be distributed equally to our written work and our performance task. So, written work will be given 10% of the quarterly exam, and another remaining 10% will be given to the performance task. So, in short, written and performance task has an increase of 10% each. So, in this particular weight distribution, we have a slight change. So, there will be 2 assessment components instead of 3. Dalawa na lang po. So, if you still remember po, the written works is 30, performance task 50, and the quarterly exam is 20. Based on Deped Order, the 10% will be given, 30% will become 40, and 10% become 60. Ang 20% hinati po sa dalawa. Same also with our science and math. Instead of 40, 40, 20, naging 50, 50. For sa MAPE, EPP, and TLE, instead of 20, 60, and nagiging 30 and 70. So that is our weight distribution. Same for our senior high school, the core subjects from 30 to 50 and 20, it becomes 40 and 60. In academic track, 40 and 60, 50 and 50. And for our TBL, from 20, 60, and 20, it becomes 30 and 70. All in all, that is 100% track or per learning area. So, in this particular grade, so our grading system will now be divided into two. So, the same computation, highest possible score. So, the raw score of our learner divided by the highest possible score. Instead of multiplying it to 30 as the written work of a certain learning area, we'll multiply by 40 based on the table, on the previous table. But sum of written work performance task is the initial grade of a particular learner. Subject for, so we will transmute the grade. So in our example for learner A, if he has 81.4 initial grade, it to 88 as or her quarterly grade. So that is our computation for, or our new computation. Okay, next. So, for our cars, the same whole number. If you see our sample cars, everything are whole number. And the final grade is a whole number and the average is the whole number. Do not mind po, tinanggal lang po namin yung component na yung quarterly grades of MAPE para po na namin sa inyo kung how to find and time the average. Next. For grades 11 and 12, so if you see, we have the third quarter, fourth quarter, so that means this is our second semester. So compute, in getting the second semester semester final grade, we add the 2 quarters divided by 2. Same also with the first semester, you add the 2 quarters divided by 2, and you add vertically the second semester final grade, then divided by total number of learning areas as our divisor, and in our sample, the general average for the semester is 85% or 85. Next. Are we still live? If you observe that the general average has its descriptors. Now, so the purpose of general average now, my dear teachers, is not to determine the promotion and the retention of our learners, but to determine what the level of performance of our learners. So we have the descriptors. Outstanding, 90 to 100. Very satisfactory, 85 to 89. Satisfactory is 80 to 84. Fairly satisfactory, 79. And below 75, expectation, and that is fair. So, when a learner's row score consistently below expectation in written work and performance tasks, the learner's parent guardian must be informed not later than 5th week of the quarter. Why? So that we, the teachers, we can give intervention. We can give intervention to our learners that they can cope up for their next quarter. Huwag po nating pababayaan mga guro na nakita natin na kulang, dapat po maagapan kaagad. Let's have a short break for a test. Okay, so we're back. So again, once we found out that our learner is on critical condition due to the performance of written and performance tasks, we teachers must inform the parents and the guardian of that particular learner on the status immediately so that there will be an intervention be given to our learners so that on the following quarter he can, or in the following week, he can cope up or she can cope up the said lesson. So informing the parents will enable them to help and guide their learners, their child, to improve and prepare for the quarterly assessment. So it is very important, teachers, our communication to our parents dapat po para maalala po natin ang ating mga learners. Okay? Next. In case po, learners who receives a grade below 75 in any subject in a quarter, we must give intervention through remediation and extra lessons from the teachers of that subject. Dapat po para po our learners can cope up the said lesson para po maiwasan na natin ang mga failing marks at the end of a certain quarter. So, ganun po talaga ang ating gagawin. Okay? So, we have this question. How are learners promoted or retained at the end of the school year using our two written component of written and performance? So, based on Deped order, we have three guidelines. We have five of at least all learning areas, our learner is promoted to the next grade level. Pag lahat po na learning area niya pasa o may 75 and up na grado, promoted po sa next grade level. The opposite is if ang learner is nakakuha po ng tatlo or more, 3 or more learning areas na did not meet expectations. Pag sinabi po natin did not meet expectations, that is, the grade of our learner is below 75 or failed, 3 or more, automatically retain ang bata on the same grade level. That is for grades 1 to 10. No? For grades 1 to 10. But the third is if one or two learning areas is failed or did not meet expectations, the learner must pass remedial classes for learning mark to be promoted to the next grade level. Otherwise, the learner is retained in the same grade level. So, klaro po yan. So, dito po maraming problema we encountered. No? This is where what we discuss in the school forms of certificate of pre-computed grade. So, kung bat ay may isa o dalawang learning areas na bagsak, immediately after we find it out, we will conduct or we will give remedial classes and pass. But otherwise, the learner is retained. So pag hindi pa rin pumasa ang bata, then retain siya on the same grade level. Our grading system is very lenient, but pag hindi po talaga magsikap ang bata sa bagsak niya, then even isang subject lang ang failed niya, then pag remedial class bagsak pa rin, then he will automatically retain in the same grade level. So ganun po din, even lenient tayo, but our policy is very harsh because we provided already the chance, but sad to say, hindi pa rin. So, ang nangyayari, retain ang bata. No? So that is our policy on the promotion and retention for grades 1 to 10. Okay? Next. For senior high school, next slide. So, for grades 1 to 10, a learner who did not meet expectation in the most two learning areas must take remedial classes. Remedial classes are conducted after the final grades had been computed. Kasi po, doon po natin malalaman kung ang bata ay retain or hindi, or may bagsak ba siya o pasa sa learning area. So immediately after the final grades had been computed, remedial classes must be given to the learner. And the learner must pass the remedial classes to be promoted to the next grade level, otherwise he will be retained. I underline, however, teachers should ensure that learners receive remediation when they earn raw scores which are consistently below expectations in written work and performance tasks by 5th week of any quarter. This will prevent a student from failing in any learning area at the end of the year. That's why do not wait for the final grade. Let's monitor our learners' performance every quarter, time to time, para na prevent po natin na mabagsak ang bata at the end of the year. Okay? So, with that, no, summative assessment are also given during remedial classes. Even though we conduct remedial classes, we still provide summative assessment. So to compute, as I mentioned while ago this morning on the recomputed final grade, so the equivalent of final grade for remedial classes is the remedial class mark, and the final grade at the end of the school year, and the remedial class marks are average, and that is the result is the recomputed final grade. So if the recomputed final grade is 75 or higher, the student is promoted to the next grade level. However, students will be retained if the grade level, in the grade level, if the recomputed final grade is below 75. So that is our. So, teacher of the remedial classes. So the teacher of the remedial class will issue the certificate of recomputed grade, which is noted by the school principal and submit it in the division office. And that certificate, as I mentioned in the school forms, it will be transferred to SF10 or Form 137 para po hindi mawala. No? So that will be our basis. So, this is our sample of certificate of recomputed final grade. We have the name of the student, grade level, school year. We will just add the duration po. Idagdag po natin when started and hanggang kailan natapos. So, wag niyo pong dagdagan ang tables. Dalawa lang po yan kasi po, hindi na pwedeng tatlo. Kasi pag 3 po yan, that means retain na ang bata. 3 failures kasi. So, only 2. Kasi a maximum of 2 to conduct remedial class. So we have the final grade. The final grade again is the failing grade. Remedial class mark is the grade during remedial instruction. The recomputed final grade is the average of the final grade and the remedial class mark. Again, pag 75 and up, promoted ang bata for the next year level. But below 75, retain ang bata on the same grade level. Properly signed by the remedial class teacher, school principal, and the division office through planning. Okay? So, how is attendance reported? So, the important for learners to be in school every day. So, we have number of school days in each month presented. So, we will show you how many months from the October to July. Kasi po, we will end our school year 2020-2021 by July 10, 2021. Okay? Next. Ito po, how attendance is reported. So, once a learner incurs absences of more than 20% of the prescribed number of class days or periods or semester, learner can be given a failing grade. Automatically, you can give failing grade once a learner incurred more than 20%. But, we have the furthermore, the school head may at his or her discretion and in individual case exempt a learner who exceeds the 20% limit for reasons considered valid and acceptable to school. So, hindi po tayo bigla-bigla na failed ang bata. Dapat ikonsulta muna sa school head and based on the consultation, the discretionary authority is vested in the school head and he may not be availed of by a student of granted of faculty member without the consent of the school head. So, dapat ipagpapaalam po natin ito sa school head. Provided also na pag okay siya, granting na binigay ng school head yung acceptable ng school head yung reason, it doesn't mean that learners are barred in taking assessment. He will still go on the process. Hindi pwede na, kay okay na si school teacher, papasaro na, si principal, papasaro na diretso. No. He will still do or pass the process. The assessment, the lecture, the modules, and everything. No? Kay, dili man na pwede ka diretso ra pud pasar. No? Next. So, these are the number of days for school year 2020-2021 in our attendance. So, for October 24, November 23, December 10, January 24, February 22, March 21, April 22, May 25, June 25, and July 9. That comprises 205 days.